Hi, this is Henry DeLozier from GGA Partners, speaking again with Jeff Goren, your golf course superintendent at Mirabel. And I guess the big question is, why can't you just get all this done in the summer? 90 days and you're done.
I wish I could. Really, the challenge here is that we haven't fully defined what the true scope of work is, but we know it's large. We know it's the irrigation system. Okay, it's reached its useful life. We know it's the greens, bunkers, etc. What else we do is still to be determined. So the scope of work is substantial. We mentioned in a previous video regarding the lakes and addressing the lakes and the responsibility we have as members and the future generations to address those lakes. Those lakes alone, they're expecting 12 to 15 weeks just to address the lakes. And one cannot start grassing until you have water pumping through the system. So really, when you look at how long this is going to take, Mr. Rosenko had a great presentation about where you start, when are we opening? And let's work backwards from there. And so that's where we're starting. So when I think about when we're opening right now, we're forecasting right around this time, mid-October, like we traditionally do. When I look at back at the original construction, we opened up Thanksgiving weekend. So greens were seeded Labor Day. Perfect situation. We were able to meet that goal and open up. Thankfully, there was no monsoons, no torrential rainstorms. Those 6 inches we had the last 2 weeks would have washed out greens if they were seeded in September. I know a local club missed that window of opening at Thanksgiving, and they weren't able to open up to March the following year. If you miss that window in this elevation, you're not opening up. So I think the challenge is if we're planning to open up in that November of 29, the realizing that we're going to open up to 150, 200 members on the weekend. The greens have to be well established to meet the expectations. So you work backwards from there, and when are we going to hit those seed dates? Nobody really wants to see a bent grass green in July and August during high heat, and then the threat of monsoons that could wash out a green, etc. So the greens really have to be established in April and May prior to that stress. So really, we're working backwards from there. And looking at irrigation system. How long is it going to take to install the irrigation system? I've just mentioned the lakes, but through that irrigation system. So we start with the demo of if we're regrassing, start with the demo work, start with the irrigation, etc. It's kind of like you said, there's a process, there's a flow, there's milestones you have to meet to hit that seeding date for greens, as well as then we get into the Bermuda grass, and if we're sprigging, and we will be doing some sodding around a lot of the major features, green complexes, tees. But when it comes to sprigging, again, because of the water restrictions or availability or daily allocations, not to mention a contractor's ability, you're not sprigging 18 holes at once. That too will be 1 or 2 holes every couple weeks because of water, because of contractor as the finish work's done. So you really need a substantial time, hit certain milestones, and then there's the grow-in. So construction may only take 4, 5, 6 months, but then the grow-in as well adds to that time period.
Sure. I suspect that trying to rush this process is complicated as it is, and as you have so many interconnected circumstances that you have to deal with, that rushing is not one of the options.
Absolutely. We want to do it right. We want to do it right the first time, and we don't want to have to come back years after years, punch list items, tie in, or issues with the irrigation system. When we do it, we want to do it right and meet the expectations of the members.
Right. It seems to me in so many projects I've seen, the place where the project planners missed the boat was that they did not allow adequate time to get all the work done that needs to be done.
Well, and with your experience, you've probably seen it more than I have, so that's why I think it's a great relationship hearing that.
Well, I think the other advantage is I've probably made a heck of a lot more mistakes than you have.
Well,
it seems to me that you're taking a
my wife may disagree with you.
Seems you've taken a very deliberate approach.
Absolutely. It's been very thought out. We've been thinking about this for years, and again, my grounds committee, the board, I've had direct talk with them over 2 or 3 years. Now the tees, the green formation a couple years ago, a lot of smart individuals. And this even goes back, when the club was at its infancy in terms of the board and transitioning from the developer to member own, Mr. John Turner and I were discussing as early as 2012 and 13, you know, in terms of a greens renovation and looking at USGA recommendations and when this should occur. And, you know, thankfully, we've had a great program here and the Greens have done well, and we've been able to push that date back further and further.
Sure.
But whether it's greens and irrigation, it's time, and it's a responsibility because it's reaching its end of its useful life.
When this Tees to Green project is completed, the reward will have been achieved through all the advanced planning that you and others have done. So compliments to you on that and best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.